Hey hockey fans, I'm Breezy.
And I'm Ray Ray. We host the House of Hockey podcast on the Hockey Podcast Network.
We're lifelong hockey fans who talk about the game and the lifestyle. Our guests include professional hockey players.
My rookie party had to wear Speedo, and then we had a checklist of stuff we had to do.
Here we go, Gaber. What do you got to say? And it's kind of like, you know better than that now, boys.
I got dressed for the Bruins. Get a phone call. He's like, dude, we need you over here by the elevator. You got to get downstairs. You got to get dressed right now.
Started playing the like, dun, 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 and I turned it around and it had the Olympic rings and said, we did it.
NHL team hockey reporters.
I actually took the Stanley Cup to this ice bar where they've got now girls around them, and I've got a fur coat on.
I wonder who he shoot checked over here. And then I looked down at my feet.
Hockey fans.
The entire bar was lined with guys in Kings jerseys. We quickly realized, oh my gosh, this is the dad's trip.
And we bring unique hockey stories to light.
Coming back to England, 24 rinks in the entire country. That's where the problem starts with the sport of ice hockey here.
Canadian Blind Hockey Association, those few kids we interviewed, their whole week is built around Sunday at the rink. They're just hockey players.
We don't agree on everything.
Pineapple goes on pizza.
No, it does not.
I think it does. But we do agree that there are many people and places that build the House of Hockey.
New episodes every Tuesday. Come on in to the House of Hockey podcast on the Hockey Podcast Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 69.
Yeah.
Oh, such a journey. We've been saying it since day one. This is why you podcast, to get to episode 69. Michael, congratulations. It's something we've done before on our other shows.
Yep, we've 69 on our other shows.
Yep. But it honestly, it should be mentioned. Of course, this episode is sponsored by Manscaped. The only way to 69 is to be properly groomed, but we'll get into more of that later. It warms my heart to know that we get to type into our emails that we send to the Hockey Podcast Network. Detroit Red Wings, Discussion 5, Episode 69, very nice episode. Easy title. That's probably my favorite part. All right, everybody, welcome to the Discussion 5, where we discuss the 5 most pressing matters for your Detroit Red Wings, which we have certainly thrown into the wood chipper these last few months as we've been going over old NHL drafts and talking about playoffs, which we certainly are not involved in. So soon enough, we'll have 5 pressing matters for the Detroit Red Wings as we come to you every Monday morning. This is Matt at Clink Matt. You can find my brother at Michael_Clink. You can find the show at BOD Hockey. We're also the Brothers of Discussion for a wrestling podcast. We are at BOD Podcast on Twitter. And we have a shared Instagram account that's at brothers_of_discussion. And find our website, bodpodcast.com and brothersofdiscussion.com, which is the hub for all things pro wrestling. And, of course, as we mention every week, and you heard at the top of the show, we are brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network. That can be found at HockeyPodNet and the HockeyPodcastNetwork.com, where you can find the website and hubs for all 31 NHL teams, soon to be 32, and, of course, some other shows, as we've been highlighting at the start of every episode. Just put your headphones in, and we'll give you a little bit of a treat and a snippet of what's going on with the other Hockey Podcast Network shows. But, Mike, let's jump in to our kind of Red Wings discussion, because we're going to bring it around and we're going to make it about the Red Wings. Mike, I tweeted yesterday that we're in the end game now. This is, if anything, it feels like we have to sacrifice ourselves to get the glove off of Thanos, just to make sure that the absolute worst thing Does not happen.
The snap hasn't happened yet, unfortunately.
What?
The snap hasn't happened. We're
could.
about to see Pittsburgh win the first spot, and then that's the snap.
I'm glad it's quick. I'm glad that we're going to know on the day that this is released. So we're still able to talk about it. We're still happy because it hasn't been said which team is going to get that first pick. Which when you play this game, it's going to be 8 teams. So you divide that percentage around. So right now we stand at a 25% chance that either Pittsburgh or Edmonton is going to be landing that first overall pick. Now let's say Toronto loses tonight. So we're recording before the Toronto game. That would mean between the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Edmonton Oilers, I'm going to throw in the New York Rangers because I don't think I'd be very happy if they got that pick. And the Toronto Maple Leafs, there's a 50% chance that one of those teams is going to walk away with LaFreniere. And my case for the Rangers is mainly revolves around the fact that they just got Capo Kakko. They have Artemi Panarin. Are they anywhere near Stanley Cup level? I think they just proved how terrible they are. Getting swept out of that qualifier round, but I don't know. They don't deserve it. The fact that we fall back every year, and the fact that a team like the Rangers it's just picked up Kakko, and now they're going to get Lafreniere. It's just not fair. And that's why I've put them on my list of I'm going to blow my brains out.
I know there's just so many narratives here. One is the Thanos situation that he goes to Pittsburgh. That is just what we need to do, what the NHL needs to coordinate is somehow a little bit I don't think that they've quite figured it out in the NHL, so that's why I'm going to use an NFL example. When they would get gaggles of fans on draft day, and you can see who the first pick is, and the New York Giants always fuck up their pick, and the fans are just and it's just just a cacophony of boos and sneers and people screaming in the streets. So I think what we need to do for tomorrow night.
That's a good word.
Thank you. Because I think tomorrow night's the big reveal, right? Isn't it Monday? 8 p.m. or is it tonight?
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
No, it'll be Monday. Tonight we'll know if the Leafs are involved, which I don't know. It's weird because I did watch that Jackets Leafs game and I was super bummed when the Leafs won. I think the poetry in the Leafs getting knocked out in this qualifier with all the money they have invested in that team, and then seeing the Blue Jackets, who lost Panarin and Bobrovsky over the offseason, knock out the Leafs.
It's hard. I want to see the fan reactions, either pro or against, for what happens tomorrow night. I don't want it to just be a quiet envelope and then some talking heads. I think we desperately need to find a way to get socially distant gaggles of fans. All the other teams that are picking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 who got fucked in this draft. And let's see them react to who gets the number 1 pick. Because I'm pretty sure that the narrative is, I think that there's a preference to kind of see maybe a Canadian team. So even if it ends up being the Maple Leafs, that's still preferable to the Rangers or the Penguins. I got to think that the angriest selections are Pittsburgh and the Rangers 1, 2. And then kind of the next tier are kind of
Thanos' nipples to...
Then after that, it's Edmonton, who all they do is waste talent. Just I'm referring to the McDavids, the Dreisaitl's, those kind of guys. It's what?
How about Connor McDavid still leads the qualifier round in points?
What a waste. And then then there's that next tier where I don't know if you'd really be upset, but it's what's the point? If Nashville gets them, Florida, I don't know if it ends up being the Blue Jackets. What if the Blue Jackets get him? What a fart in the wind that's going to be. I don't know if that really even moves the needle for Columbus fans.
I actually like what you're saying there, because I was actually okay with the Nashville Predators picking him up, but then I started thinking about it. I mean, we're like a couple years removed from like the Predators being Stanley Cup contenders, the Winnipeg Jets being Stanley Cup contenders.
That was my number one pick. That's who I want. I want Winnipeg. They were disrespected.
I mean, they're not on my
They were
shit
kicked out of the
list right
NHL.
now.
They were kicked out of the NHL because we were trying to go American, and now they're back. All right, this is a Canadian sport. We need as many Canadian teams as possible. Let's put the Jets on the map with LaFreniere. Who's with me?
I did like the Montreal Canadiens Twitter created. Have you ever seen the Wolverine meme where he's like brushing the picture of Jean after she died?
Yeah.
It was so the caption was "Good luck, you sweet French Canadian boy," and it was LaFreniere wearing his Montreal Canadiens jersey in the picture that Wolverine was. It's pretty cool. I'll say that I will be happy for I'll be happy for the Blue Jackets, the Winnipeg Jets, Minnesota Wild. That's another one where I just kind of wonder.
It's harmless, Yeah, there's a lot of frozen lakes up there.
Right. Yeah. I just wonder how long it'll be before we even forget, before we forget Lafreniere exists when he goes to Minnesota.
I don't want him to go to Florida either. I don't want him to get taken out by a Florida man like from the TV show Atlanta.
That would be pretty sad.
That to happen. Yeah, that's scary.
So I did want to give a quick shout out to the teams that did participate last week with the Hockey Podcast Network in their plea for you to be a fan of their team. Canadians advance, the Coyotes advance, and Vegas is now number 1 overall. Unfortunately for the Oil Country Podcast, they might be good listen if the Edmonton Oilers land the number 1 pick. But
that episode is just going to be 60 minutes of noisemakers. I don't know why you would need anything else. But yeah.
And then for the Capitals, they're 0-1-1 so far. They don't look too motivated in the round robin games, and they're looking for at least one win today to see who's going to be the dog shittiest of all the round robin teams.
It's so weird, like how to even like. Cause it's not like seeding matters. It doesn't matter who, there's no home ice. You're there, I can kind of see. I kind of get it.
Well, I do feel like, so the Flyers are going to walk away with the round robin win, and they get the Montreal Canadiens. I think the best thing we can say we're getting out of this is that the Canadiens just played their nuts off, and I think the Flyers are one of the few teams to take the round robin seriously. So I think at least we're going to get, so they'll be number 1, and the Canadiens are last because they come in as the dead, the worst team out of the qualifier round. I think we're actually going to get some good hockey there. I think there's going to be some bruises created. I just really... That's the only thing I can really pull, because I don't know if you'd really want to face the Canadians, who are flying pretty hot right now after taking out the Guins. Do you really win doing that, right? I don't know. And then the Golden Knights too, having to take on Blackhawks, so that could also go
sweep.
That could go poorly. I mean, Jonathan Taves just
he's back.
I don't know. Yeah, no, he really does look like 5 years ago, Jonathan Taves. So I don't know. All right. One bit of Red Wing news. Nothing really to dissect here. Red Wings loaned Filip Zadina over to the Czeck team and Moritz Seider over to the DEL. Get him some minutes. I don't know. It said they came to terms to loan him out. I tried to go the easy route and see how much I could gather of like what those terms would be on 2 minutes of research. I don't know. It's got to be some sort of compensation if they get hurt. But I mean, this is a good thing, I think, for these two. Like, they need some time on the ice. I don't think it's good that you lose like a whole year of development, but you also just don't want these guys coming back and being completely different hockey players because they haven't been training for a whole year. You know, I mean, you really could turn into somebody completely different. Speaking as an unemployed gentleman, some of the things that I used to be good at that I need to like start training up again to remember how to do them. And that's easy stuff. Like physical stuff, I imagine is you lose twice as fast and
right,
get
the
it back,
muscle
it's
memory
twice as hard.
Yeah.
So good news here, I think.
I would just say that like, you know, you mentioned the word Red Wing development, right?
Yeah.
These are arguably two of our best prospects already. So it's kind of like, well, let's go all in on our best guys. It's like, well, we have a lot of guys who, you know, when we do the redrafts in 10 years, they're going to, you know, Red Wing losers because we don't have any man games played. So I'm kind of hoping we get some more news out of this, like other players being loaned out, as the verbiage goes, you know, just to get some more time on the ice.
I imagine part of the reason that these two were able to find a team
already overseas, but yeah.
Well, I was going to say there's teams that would also benefit from having a Zadina and a Moritz Seider on them.
Please take our prospects. We're good. No. All right, we'll pay you to take them.
It's not safe. COVID.
It's not safe.
Keep them.
We can only take Seider right now. Can Larkin come over? He's pretty seasoned. Come on.
I mean, it might not be safe for some of those Red Wings to head overseas, but what is safe?
It's not safe for our team's win-loss record to take your second and third round guys. Sorry, Steve. Damn it.
Right, but what is safe is your nutsack from the Manscaped Lawnmower 3.0. Of course, they're sponsoring episode 69 of the Discussion 5. If you want to celebrate with the Discussion 5, in the only way I can think to do so on episode 69, find your SO, find your significant other, have some fun. But if you want to do it the clean way, if you want to do it the smooth way, if you want to make sure that we're not, pulling curlies off tongues, that's where the Lawnmower 3.0 comes in. No curlies on tongues because why? You've gotten yourself so close and clean with that Lawnmower 3.0. It's just, it almost becomes impossible for you for that to be an issue. It does such a great job, and it does such a great job that you just want to keep going back in and doing more. I say grab that Lawnmower 3.0, get yourself nice and shiny and clean. And celebrate episode 69 the only way I can think of how to do it with your significant other. Mike,
if I may,
you're chomping at the bit.
I was just excited to talk about Manscaped because I just recently did the home inspection on a house I'm gonna buy, and I was wearing gym shorts because I knew that we were going to be going into a crawl space, potentially climbing up ladders to look at the attic. And I made sure to put on the ball deodorizer, and I was going up and down the stairs, and the realtor was on site with us, and she's a fairly attractive woman, and I was ahead of her for one of the escalations up the stairs, and just moments after that, she definitely asked if I was wearing cologne, and that it smells good. And then if this was the office, I would have just looked at the camera and just made a Michael face. But I wasn't wearing cologne. It was my ball deodorizer. So it was kind of nice because she's made me a little angry. And now I know that she had to smell my balls. So.
Oh, boy. That's definitely a Dwight, it's true. Oh, you smell good. Are you wearing... Anyways, you've got that 7,000 RPM motor. You've got that light, the LED light to make sure that where that sun don't shine is still bright and shiny for you to do your trimmings. And of course, you've got that neat charging stand, the USB charging stand. so you could show off that you are ready to go to celebrate episode 69 with the Discussion 5. So, everybody, go to manscaped.com, use promo code THPN. That gets you 20% off and free shipping for the Lawnmower 3.0 package. That's manscaped.com, promo code THPN. That's for the Hockey Podcast Network. 20% off and free shipping. Mike, let's jump into the 2009 NHL Draft. So tried to put that on YouTube, that song.
Ooh,
taken down immediately. So that song will not be featured
you can just hear
anymore.
you can just hear me doodly do it here. That's about all we get. That's what we have the rights for.
We'll probably still get in trouble for that.
I was listening to an Office podcast, and one of the writers who put together the Benihana Christmas episode, they were saying that when Michael Scott had that Sandals Jamaica, 2 tickets to paradise, pack your bags, we'll live tonight. That was a $60,000 joke because they had to get the rights from Eddie Money to drop that in there.
Whoops.
Yeah, so we just had a $60,000. So yeah, we're a lot like The Office on this show. Yeah.
I never think about how expensive that stuff is. Or I have, and I just assume it would be like, $100 a pop.
Yeah, that I would have thought, like a Beatles song or a Rolling Stones song would be that much. But an Eddie Money song was $60,000, and they didn't even play the song. But, oh well.
All right, Mike, big story for this draft. Is it a story? I don't know. The backdrop for it would be Montreal, because Montreal's celebrating their own centennial. I'm actually wearing the Red Wings centennial for the NHL celebration, the Centennial Classic that we played over in Toronto. Just, I don't know. It doesn't make sense because this is almost 10 years later. But this is from Montreal. And they didn't do so hot, and they're kind of continuing a streak here of bad drafts after we had so many great drafts in a row for the Canadiens. So it's kind of sad, but also another story here. Not many guys, if you like look at the top 20 of who was drafted in points going out, a lot of guys in the negative and we hate plus minus, but I still think from the perspective of an entire career of someone, and that number being in the negative for so many folks, I think it's pretty easy to see here that this wasn't a great time for forwards to make sure for teams to actually pick up a forward that was going to perform on both sides of the ice. And I mean, there's some names we're going to throw out later on, but I thought that was kind of odd that there were so many guys that were so deep in the negative for their entire careers for plus minus. It also is reflective of their shitty teams that they were on. Looking at John Tavares for most of his.
It was almost like they know that people discredit the plus minus, and so they just kind of mailed it in. This stat doesn't matter anyway. Let that goal go in.
This is 2 straight years that we had 30 guys played 500 plus games. We're obviously changing that number as the seasons go along, because we used to actually track how many guys were playing like 800 plus games or 1,000 games. It's not possible. I haven't played that many seasons, but 30 have played 500 plus. So you had a pretty good shot here at picking up a guy, but we also noticed in our losers, which we'll get into in a second here, that there were a lot of loser teams, and we're talking teams that actually walked away without anything. So you either went gangbuster, like Mike, you're going to talk about Colorado here in a second, or you were like one of the 6 teams that did nothing for an entire year of drafting. All right, Mike, do you want to jump into the scouting department winners, and or do you want to take Colorado? Because I actually took the notes on the other guys here if you want.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you want to start with the Islanders, then we'll kind of keep going.
Yeah, so Islanders, it's pretty obvious here what you're getting out of John Tavares. And then, of course, I mean, he's not just he's not just a game changer for your franchise. I mean, he's a marketing tool. He became a whole NHL offseason when he jumped ship from the Islanders to the Maple Leafs, and obviously that whole season too was kind of crazy because it was, will they trade him? Are they going to use, what is he going to do for the end of the season for the Islanders? I mean, it really was a massive discussion, and he ended up being one of the first big free agent moves in years of a top tier NHL talent and a huge contract moving for a free agent. I just, there's so much that you get out of a John Tavares. Mikko Koskinen, Casey Cizikas, Anders Lee, who's a 50 to 60 points per season guy, Chris Kreider, 30 to 50 points per season with some Selke votes. Again, we're not talking guys that stayed with the Islanders for their entire career, but I mean, this is a great draft for the Islanders. I really feel like they nailed it here, and moving guys can hurt or help at some point, but I think ultimately the Islanders, and then probably number two for who actually made out in this draft is the Colorado Avalanche, but easily the top two teams coming out of this draft, I think, are the Islanders and the Avalanche. Then we've got Nashville Predators, did pretty good, picking up Ryan Ellis, Craig Smith, Matthias Ekholm. Solid defenseman there out of Ellis and Ekholm. And Craig Smith, good two-way forward. And what you're getting is a lot of man games out of those three guys, too, which doesn't hurt. Senators pick up Silverberg, Robin Lehner, who's currently helping the Golden Knights, and Mike Hoffman. And then, I put the Washington Caps. Good job on my note-taking. The Washington Capitals pick up Marcus
Johansson. That was like
Johansson.
some cool new slang, Yeah, the Washington
Orlov and Cody Eakin. But yeah, then the Colorado Avalanche. I mean, Matt Duchene, Ryan O'Reilly, and Tyson Barrie.
That's a pretty solid haul, and it's also a friendly reminder that when we put this together, it just means that you picked good players. It doesn't mean that they necessarily did their best on your team.
Right.
But we have a soft spot in our heart because you know how much we love Pavel on this show. Anytime that somebody's getting Lady Bing recognition. And Duchene didn't win the award, but he was definitely up there, quite a few times. So if you're a Bing boy, if you get on the stat sheet, those are guys who are going to be near and dear to our heart. And in a season where I think, we talk about, maybe plus minus not being necessarily a statistic for people to really give a hoot about. Ryan O'Reilly has a negative one, but I will say that as a guy who's been in the running for getting the Selke, he's actually been up there for being another one of our Bing boys.
Yeah.
This guy has really had a career that I think Red Wing fans would love to be a part of instead of just watching from the bleachers. And again, this his best stuff wasn't necessarily with the team that drafted him. Obviously He did pretty good in St. Louis. He had a freaking Conn Smythe trophy, which, as we've talked about in past shows, doesn't necessarily just go to goalies all the time, Matt. It can actually go to a forward. But yeah, you could say he had some success in St. Louis. That's that winner. But yeah, he's a big boy.
Too. I mean, he did such a great job. I mean, there's heart votes for this past season with St. Louis.
Yeah.
I mean, to think about what an impact you make, and you're not just the point per game guy where Cooch wins the award, but it's like, all right, we just kind of looked at the list and went, who has the most points? But I mean, Ryan O'Reilly is that I'm glad that you brought up the plus minus thing, because he is one of the best defensive forwards in the league easily.
Yeah.
And you don't even want to say he doesn't get the recognition, because now, I mean, he really is like the MVP game changer. He actually walks away from Buffalo saying, like, I don't even know if I like hockey anymore. Like, that's how much the Buffalo Sabres like killed his spirit. But then he comes to St. Louis, and it's like, oh my God, they like hockey. They want to win here. And to think too, like that St. Louis story last year, where they were dead last coming into the year of 2019.
Yeah,
so
worst
January.
To first.
Yeah. And to think that so you've got a guy that gave up on the game of hockey, said, like, I don't know if I can do this anymore, but he still persevered and got close to being a point per game guy. Still that, hard playing, nose to the grind defensive forward, wins the Selke, gets Hart votes, takes his team to the Stanley Cup, wins the Cup, gets the Smythe. I don't know. It's a hell of a story, and it's a hell of a turnaround.
We try to look at across the NHL who's a winner and a loser. And this year, the Red Wings, they did fine. They got Tatar, they got Nick Jensen, but Ryan is so good that he arguably makes the Red Wings losers of this draft, because one pick before him was the Red Wings with Landon Ferraro.
Woo!
One pick. A dude who just, never really panned out. He played like 70 games. Or we could have had this guy. The big boy, a Selke winner, a Conn Smythe effing winner. Big miss on the Red Wings brain trust there. I mean, basically 30 teams passed on Ryan. The Avalanche didn't even take him first, but
right. I mean, all things considered, like when we do our redraft, I can confidently say I'm not taking Ryan O'Reilly first. I've got two guys. Oh shoot, I'm gonna give it away. I've got two guys ahead of him, but I mean, you wouldn't go wrong if you did take him first. Like so I'm giving away. He's not my first on my
draft board is out there, you guys.
It's leaked. Uh-oh. It's like a Bob McKenzie leak. But yeah, so I like that you brought up the wing dinghies, because I was actually trying to find some info.
I'll say too that if you want to look at a blueprint, I mean, there's a couple teams here where, we put the Islanders in our winners list, but a few of those guys just kind of played because they kind of stunk. I mean, they're decent guys, but I think the blueprint is ideally, I think you want to be Colorado, where, guys you're getting a little bit later in the draft are, Jesus Christ, like award-winning players. So with the Red Wings kind of, being this team that's hoarding second and third round picks, and it kind of feels like the rest of the NHL is like, there's not a great, likelihood of those guys panning out. What is it, like a 30 or 40% chance that guys after the first round pan out? It's some awful number.
It's got to be.
It's really rough. But yeah, I think this is kind of a blueprint you want. Pretty solid first rounder, and then your second and beyond, you actually get some contributions. So, yeah, I don't know if you want to dwell too much on the losers, but it's just teams. Like they just didn't get a lot. They didn't even get man games played, let alone good players. Yeah,
it's St. Louis, San Jose, Philly, Montreal, Calgary, Boston. I mean, these teams all walked away with nothing. They don't have anything that they could have sold off. I mean, maybe at some point they get moved as like prospects, but they don't get anything. The NHL got nothing out of all those guys that were drafted. So just overall stinker of all stinkers. And we're even taking into consideration that, where we started in 1998 with our first draft, or was it 97? And how much time has passed. Like it doesn't matter. These guys' careers are already done, for who they drafted. So there aren't any extra games being added to this list. The Datsuk Diamond in the Rough winners, we have a couple of them here, and one of them we talked about that was close to making the list. So the honorable mention I'll just throw in is Anders Lee, but we decided that he probably only did well because he had John Tavares playing with him. So we've crossed him off, and we're going to go with Mike Hoffman, 359 points in 493 games, drafted 130th overall. And then, of course, we just watched Darcy Kuemper eliminate the Nashville Predators, pick 161, and I put on here recency bias, 925 save percentage, 928 save percentage the last couple of seasons.
That's not the only bias that we have with Darcy. He also has an excellent name.
Yeah.
And he was born on Cinco de Mayo, just like me.
Woo!
Yeah, Darcy.
Good old Mr. Darcy.
Yeah.
Mike, your Yuri DePito award is still going.
Still kicking.
Kinda.
We're really close to having to retire it, but thank God Mikko Koskinen got drafted at 21. I mean, he played 1 year at age 22, and then he went abroad. He's like, fuck the NHL. But now he's kind of back. He's played a couple seasons in a row here, and I just really love that he's a dead ringer for good brother Doc Gallows, or Luke Gallows as he was in WWE. So definitely check out that profile picture if you want to see a dead ringer for the wrestler who was formerly Festus, who would only get going when he would hear a bell, ding ding, and then he would mutate from this static, stoic, emotionless void into a wrestling killing machine. So hats off to Miku there, Matt.
Young vet. The Good Boy Award was tough to come by, Mike. But we do have a couple of defensemen that we get to pat on the head because they're a good boy.
Who's a good boy?
He stuck around with their team. One, I would say, is more of a good boy, a good loyal boy than the other, because Victor Hedman stuck around with one of the best teams in the NHL right now, with the Tampa Bay Lightning. But Oliver Ekman-Larsson,
man,
sticking around with the Arizona Coyotes
through thick and thin. My God.
Yeah, the good boy of all good boy awards. If you're sticking around, I mean, the only comparable would be Shane Doan doing the exact same thing for his entire career. So good on you, Oliver. You're moving on into the playoffs this year. Good old pat on the head and good luck. But goddamn, sticking around with the Coyotes, unbelievable. Like if I'm going through that list, the last thing you expect to see is the Good Boy Award going to a solid player out of Arizona. Sorry to keep ragging on him, but I mean, come on. All right.
Yeah, we can take a quick look at what the Red Wings did one more time. This was the draft where we got Tatar. He's a pretty decent Red Wing. A couple 50-point seasons under his belt. We always like the guys who can play the whole season. I think it's got to drive you nuts when you put investments into these guys and they don't play the full year. And he's a dude who laced him up. 82 games, multiple seasons for the Wings. He's kind of hitting his peak now with Montreal, outside of Detroit. But I know he got to watch some pretty good playoff hockey when he was in Vegas. He only played 8 games, but, he got to see what winning looks like. So it's good that he got to escape the doldrums of Detroit. Yeah. And, as far as, what kind of value he's really worth, this is a guy who Red Wings swindled 3 draft picks out of for Tatar. One of them actually being a first rounder, being Joe Veleno, a guy that, keeping the fingers crossed that he really pans out and, becomes a real asset going forward. Another pick coming, I think, in 2021. And then we're still waiting to hear on Robert Mastro Simone. See what happens with his career. But, if he did fine for us. He's, doing fine in his career. He's starting to hit his peak. It was a good choice. And Matt, I think I was a little cavalier in my inclusion of Nick Jensen, and I think it's just because I am a hog for filling the stat sheet, and this guy doesn't fill the stat sheet. He does something a little more important. He did become Madison Bowie and a second rounder this year. We know Eiserman loves those second rounders. But, Matt, sell us on Nick Jensen. What a great pick this was for the Wings.
Well, he doesn't fill the stat sheet, but he plugs holes in the defensive end.
Yeah, he does. He's the little doughboy, filling those holes in the boat.
I was actually looking for a defense, like an attorney's defense of Ryan Ellis, and I ended up stumbling upon statistics. Ryan Ellis, who was drafted in 2009, sticking around with the Nashville Predators, defensive defenseman. But I was trying to make an argument for him, and I ended up finding an argument for Nick Jensen, who I always followed when I used to do blogging for sports betting. Like, Nick Jensen always seemed to be at the top of Red Wings' list for advanced analytics for an expected goals in favor for a defenseman, high Corsi stats. And he still followed along that line in January of 2019, where Sportsnet listed their best defensive defenseman based off of how many offensive chances they were giving up, high-quality scoring chances, and those expected goals numbers. So Nick Jensen does get moved out of Detroit, and I think for good reason. At the time, and when he was playing with us, he was doing great. I know I was sad when Nick Jensen got traded, because that was when I first got into the advanced analytics, and I was really taking a deep dive into it, and I was going, man, this guy's great. And then the trade deadline comes up, and that's the only guy we move is
our best
statistically
defenseman.
Our best defenseman, yeah.
Yeah.
And you look back now and you see, you know, how many holes we have all over the team, and that's one of the times where it was like, well, if you have a guy that's at the top of the league for what he's supposed to be doing, is that what you hold on to? Because it does look like the Red Wings make a lot of choices where they're going to hold on to a guy that's in like the top 20 of what they do in the league, or maybe even in the top 30. But you have a guy that's in like the top 5 of what they're supposed to do in the league. Maybe hang on to those top 5 guys. I think since those numbers have fallen, I think maybe the development on the Red Wings side is actually a little bit better than it is over in Washington. But he's still, like, those numbers aren't as great as they were back then. But I still say there's a lot of fluctuation year to year. So as defensive defensemen go, I think that's something that you can probably just get right back up on. Maybe your defensive pairing changes, maybe where you're sitting in the lineup changes, and you get right back to where you were. Because if you are doing what you did with the Detroit Red Wings and having those good expected goals numbers and Corsi numbers, I mean, that has to be tough when you're playing with the Wings. So you get on a better team. I don't know. It's an argument without. I don't know. I'm sitting here without the actual numbers in front of me, and I'm just saying, like, well, Sportsnet said. But when he was like a over 55 Corsi for the Red Wings his entire time here, and we're always saying, like, you got to be above 50 on your Corsi numbers to say that you've actually made a difference. And then the expected goals to be where they were, and giving up less scoring chances than other defensemen. I'm just talking in circles now. Let's talk about this redraft, Mike. The 2009 NHL draft. We've goddamn did it again.
We do it every year.
Every goddamn week. All right. Well, next week hopefully we'll get that right. It'll be 2010. All right. The 2009 NHL draft. Mike, I get the first pick. I told you that I might throw this whole thing for a loop with the first pick that is going to the Islanders. Do I give them a good boy, or do I put them on the same path that did not work out for the Islanders? Mike, I'm going to give him a good boy. Victor Hedman going number 1 in the 2009 draft. If you knew everything going in and what was going to happen, I think you 100% go Victor Hedman.
No! Damn it!
All right, so now you've got to take
my top guy.
Now you've got to take Ekman Larson so that the Lightning can still have. I'm just kidding.
All right. Well, that's your whole pick. You're done.
Matt? I mean, do I need to defend Victor Hedman, who's a Norris winner and help the Tampa Bay Lightning become,
relevant?
Well, no. I mean, he's the added piece. I mean, Kucherov is.
I mean, he's all right. He's okay. I mean, I just, with the second pick, I got to help out the Lightning. And sometimes it's not just, looking at the position, right? It's about what does this guy bring to the team? The Lightning have been on the cusp many a season where it seems like, they have some incredible forwards. They have some incredible defensemen. They've even had a few hot goaltenders that, were some of the best in the league at, per season. But it just feels like they never quite get to the finish line. They never quite, become the champion. They're just really good regular season teams. And I'm making a damn case that this team needs some leadership. And Matt,
oh man,
what could be better than adding a former Bing Boy, a Selke winner, a Conn Smythe winner? Matt, pick number 2, Ryan O'Reilly. He's turning around everything in Tampa Bay. Woo!
Oh my God, I love it.
I'm not picking another defenseman. We need some goddamn leadership in that locker room. We need a guy who's willing to play some defense. We need a guy who's a big boy, man. I can't say it enough. A guy who, additionally, he gets better playing around good players. He elevates the other guys on his team. Matt, I think if Ryan O'Reilly, if he'd been a Red Wing, like we said earlier, instead of Landon Ferraro, I think the Wings would have been in a better spot that they're in today. And I would definitely say that the Lightning would have a cup under their belts with Ryan O'Reilly on the roster. So that's what we do in 2009. Pick number 2. Give me O'Reilly all day.
All right. Well, this is as easy as pie for me because the Colorado Avalanche took a center. They still get to take one. Hopefully for the Avalanche, he sticks around. This might mean too that Nathan McKinnon ain't going to be an Avalanche. If we keep going in the future. But yeah, Jonathan Tavares can't go wrong. He's headed over to Colorado. I mean, making, like we talked about before, making waves from a PR perspective. This is a guy that he doesn't really have like sound bites or anything. He's not interesting, but as a human being goes, I'm pretty confident and comfortable saying that. But he's a great hockey player. So did he go number 1? Like maybe a lot of people probably would have just slotted him in there and said he's fucking John Tavares. Of course he's going number 1. No, not on this draft, baby. He's going number 3. He's going to Colorado. Mike, you've got those poor Thrashers, soon to be Winnipeg Jets.
Well, Atlanta, I feel like they just need bodies. There's not a lot of razzle dazzle, not a lot of sizzle in Atlanta. We need some high quality hockey players in this city. They originally took Evander Kane, who far and away was the most productive wing to get picked. But sometimes in these redrafts, Matt, you just got to pillage from the brain trusts who know what they're doing, and this draft is no exception. Matt, going number 4, my second former Colorado player. Give me Matt Duchene. Again, this is a guy that, you have a couple 30-goal seasons. And more importantly, you get a guy who, Jesus Christ, actually got some heart votes back in 2013-14 season. A guy who's, known to play full seasons, the 82 games. That's something we love here. Yeah, I mean, he the Avalanche have, not rocked and rolled in the playoffs. He went to Columbus, and now he's, in Nashville. And even with limited appearances, he's still almost, a point a game in the playoffs. He's one of our big boys. Not quite a winner, but he's up there as a big boy. So, Matt, I think that Atlanta would be remiss if they didn't add Duchene in the redraft. So give me Duchene all day.
All right. This is going pretty well looking at my list here of where I wanted guys to land. So that means if I follow along my draft board and I'm ranking these guys where I think, I think they're making the bigger difference for their position. So guess who? I hope I'm leading.
Oh boy, here we go.
Leading this in the right direction, Mike. So Kings take a center in Braden Shen. That's fine. I think I want to do a bit of an upgrade here, and I've got another good boy that's moving. I love the good boy award was my creation, and I think it does mean a lot. And you're getting a guy that he's moving up one spot. I can't get past the fact that when you look at what the Coyotes have been able to do, and this guy can still stand out and be like, all right, I'm going to do my best. I'm still going to get Norris votes. I'm going to get All-Star votes. But I've got this dog shit around me, I think that does mean a lot. And it could go both ways. It could be he's just the shiniest of the turds, but I like to kind of push this in the direction that Ekman Larson, I mean, he's legit in my eyes. But he's going to the Kings, and I got to stick with my draft board on this one. So, Mike, you've got the Yotes.
How do I
What are you
save
doing?
the
Did
Yotes?
I just
How do
ruin
I
everything?
save the Yotes? This is tough, Matt. This is really tough. This is really getting tough. Have I said it's getting tough? Even in a redraft where we know how these players pan out, it's still kind of like, ooh.
Yeah, we're already talking like we're on pick 6, right? So we're already talking at this point. You've lost your top 3. Like you get middle 6, bottom 6 forwards here, or your bottom 4 defensemen. Like I really do think like we've already crossed the line. Like and we're on pick 6.
This is tough. We originally did get a maybe for the worst, a good boy for the Coyotes, who he's just seduced by that, sweet desert air. I gotta think that they still want a defenseman in some capacity. They want a guy who's on the stat sheet a little bit. So I'm gonna veer away from like Ryan Ellis, as much as I love him. If you're gonna get a guy who's on the stat sheet a little bit, he plays a little bit of defense. Got a pretty good consistency. About playing 70 to 80 games every season. Matt, I've held sway so far with picking and pillaging from our boys in the mountains, and this pick will be no different. Tyson Barrie, boom, he's getting picked.
Oh man,
now, are there some forwards that are a little sexier? Absolutely. Are there some defensemen that defense a little more defensier? Yeah, probably. But Tyson, I think that he's going to be seduced by that sweet desert air as well. Nothing like a little melted ice when you're playing defense. And this guy's already used to some crazy conditions. He almost made our good boy list too, outside of leaving Colorado this season for Toronto. But yeah, I mean, he's for a defenseman, he's been scoring all right. He's didn't really make an all-star team, but he got kind of voted. But yeah, I really like what Colorado did this season. So I think we're gonna I'm doubling in. I'm all in with Colorado and spreading their guys out into the top 10. So Matt,
spreading their cheeks.
That I think really opens it up here for you to get another good player. You son of a bitch! I just saw who you wrote in. Matt, how do the Maple Leafs turn it around?
Well, I think it's safe to say that a lot of their struggles between this moment and today revolve around the defense and goaltending in Toronto. I think some people are happier with Toronto's goaltending, but I think we can kind of shove it into overdrive and pick up who we were already talking in this episode is one of the best goaltenders in the league, maybe benefiting a bit from a scared coaching strategy to play a little bit tighter because maybe you're not so confident in your team's ability to win, but they also just picked up a bunch of forwards that should build up that confidence. So maybe this argument goes either way. Anyway, Mike, the Leafs are going to get some goaltending help in Darcy Kuemper. Again, rolling with the .925 and .928 save percentage the last couple seasons. Mike, a team that, as we speak right now, is actually in the first round of the playoffs compared to the Leafs, who still have to win tonight. So argue all you want about whether or not the Leafs have good goaltending. I would say that the Coyotes could easily sit there and go, I think ours is better, as they sit nice and comfy waiting for their first round to start. So, Mike, the Leafs are actually going to take Darcy Kuemper. Remember, folks, I feel like I need to say this. Do you draft a goalie when you don't know they're going to be... I mean, Darcy Kuemper, what did we say? He went like 160? Yeah. We know he's going to be good, though. So that's where this changes. That's where we draft a guy in the top 10. Because we have the crystal ball. But never draft a goalie in the top 10. You idiots. All right. Mike, you've got the Stars at number 8.
So out of like the top 20 picks in the real draft, there was really, I would say, just 2 absolute busts. One was Montreal, and we talked about them having a rough go of it. But the other one, the only top 10 pick to just not even play 200 games, like under 249, there was one guy, and he only played 1 game, and it was the Dallas Stars pick. Scott Glennie. So honestly, Dallas, they're willing to take literally anybody else, basically anybody else, even a guy who didn't make it, because this guy played 1 game and all he did was get 2 penalty minutes. So, Matt, they wanted a wing. We have let this guy fall far enough, and I know he's had some crazy suspensions. He's had a couple of kooky injuries, but God damn it, he's on the stat sheet. I will say that 242 goals and 713 games played is much better than 1 game played and no goals. Matt, going to Dallas. We've been through most of Texas. We haven't been through Dallas yet. And, I guess this guy's going to really learn what it's like. He's kind of floated around the league here. He's played in Atlanta, Winnipeg, Buffalo, and now he's a Shark.
Well, Atlanta and Winnipeg is the same thing. Don't forget about that.
He still got to learn 2 cities. So now he's learning a new city, Matt. Give me Evander Kane.
Yay!
He had, he had a couple 30-goal seasons. Just as late as last year, and you get production, and you're inarguably better than Scott Glennie.
Definite upgrade from the 1 game played. What team am I drafting for? Sorry. The Senators. All right. So I got pick 9. And I already know who I'm taking, so I don't need to fumble around too much here. But we are going to take again from the Stanley Cup winning St. Louis Blues team. Obviously not who drafted him. But I'm gonna take Brayden Schenn. I think, like I mentioned before, I think the level of talent has dropped off. I don't want to say severely, but you're still talking. We're not talking Hart Trophy winners very quickly in this draft. Like I said, we're already the middle 6, bottom 6, bottom 4 defensemen. There's still 1 great goaltender left, so maybe Mike's going in that direction. But I think with the Senators, we're 1 year removed from them picking up Erik Karlsson. So now let's kind of build up the forward lines a little bit here. And Brayden Schenn is nothing to sneeze at, as we love to say on this show. A 70-point season thrown in there, but when you're notching in, ever since the 2014-15 season, he almost cracked 50 points, but since then it's been 50 points and up, including that 70-point season. That's something that when teams are evaluating talent, like that's the threshold where they're like, all right, this guy's worth this first-round pick because he can get above the 50-point threshold eventually. Again, do the Red Wings have a ton of 40-point scorers on their team? Nah, but that's I'm saying it's still impressive to get the 40 points, but I think Brayden Schenn crosses that realm of more than just a name on the roster. This is a guy that's going to make a clear difference, and the 20 goals per season, easy peasy, something I want on my team. I'm justifying this too much. I feel like I'm talking myself out of it. But yeah, Brayden Schenn. And he's also, it would have been silly for me not to take him because he was number 8 on my list, and that makes him number 9. All right. We've taken a couple guys that were off my list. Not off my list. They were just lower.
Well, that brings us to number 10. And Matt, another name that it's not as fun as when I try to say Jake Gensel and I say Gwensel, which I'm going to still take that to my grave. But the Oilers originally took Magnus Paajarvi. And he's fine. We go through these drafts, we rank all these players, and we look at like our Datsuk Diamond in the Rough award winners. And I think this is a good spot to include Mike Hoffman going at number 10. I think he's worthy of a pick. He's definitely a late bloomer. A guy who he didn't really start playing seriously until he was 25. He was getting Calder votes at age 25. And since then, he's been just steadily increasing his production. The 18-19 season was his career high there, where he had 36 goals and 34 assists. One of our favorite things is, nothing to turn your nose at. And he was, almost on pace for a point a game this season with Florida again. 59 and 69 games. And sometimes those late bloomers, it's worth picking. So, Matt, I don't know. He's not lighting the world on fire, but I think it's production that you can be happy with. It's a guy you had to be a little bit patient with, and now he gets drafted. That's about all I got for you for Mike Hoffman.
No, I mean it's. I'll say it again. This is a draft. I think it dropped off from the top tier talent pretty quick. So everybody, that is the 2009 draft. We hope you'll check out everything on brothersofdiscussion.com, bodpodcast.com. Find us on Instagram as brothers_of_discussion. Find the show on Twitter at BODHockey as we try and cover the hockey games that are going on. I'm putting together a patio, so I've been online less and less. That is one hell of a job putting a patio together. Let me tell you, everybody, if you have the choice to say no, just say no. But Mike, good luck with your house. And let's wrap it up here. Have a good one, everybody.